Hi, my name is Kapil Mesandani. I am from Pune Institute of Computer Technology from the Department of Electronics and Telecommunication.
Hi, my name is Kushal Chodia. I'm also from the Pune Institute of Computer Technology and I'm from the computer department. And today the two of us are ecstatic to present our paper Dilation Patch SR-GAN or DP-SR-GAN in the 6th I2CT conference. Before we start, before we start presenting our work, we'd like to go over all of the concepts that we will be visiting during this presentation. We'll be doing a quick introduction of what super resolution is. We'll talk about our motivation to tackle this problem. We'll talk about some of the related works that exist in this domain. Then my colleague will explain our contributions, the network architecture, dataset preparations, and implementation details that we went through. And then we'd like to take some time to go over our results and possible future work. So to introduce the concept of SRSR, single image super resolution is the task of generating a high resolution output image from a low resolution input image. Now this task has proven itself to be highly challenging and quite an ill-posed problem. Multiple methods have been applied to the problem in the past with varying degrees of success. Recently, deep learning based methods like generative adversarial networks and variational autoencoders have proven quite effective. However, most of these methods either create a blurry output lacking fine, minute details or use extremely heavy models to achieve better results. There is some uncertainty regarding the very definition of the mapping we intend to model between the low resolution and high resolution images, because low resolution inputs can be extrapolated to several images on the natural manifold. Simply put, different high resolution images may be downscaled to the same low resolution image. This problem becomes especially apparent for high resolution targets. So the diagram given below demonstrates the same point with several high resolution targets being downscaled to the same low resolution input. Now, some examples of super resolution in action are depicted here. Now, the nature of deep learning models makes them very robust and generalized. So deep learning based SR models can be used for any general purpose image enhancement tasks, including digitally created images like the ones depicted above. But in recent works, including our own, there has been an increasing focus on using SR for enhancing the images of human faces. More niche tasks like enhancing medical images or consequently also using it on security footage has also been accomplished previously. Talking about our motivation for this project, most existing solutions for super resolution rely on architectures that are too heavy to run on commodity hardware, either for training or for inference purposes. Furthermore, the nature of GANs meant that training could only be performed on images of a fixed size. So one of our main objectives was to create a network that was lightweight enough to significantly speed up training and allow for deployment of commodity hardware. Additionally, we also managed to achieve an architecture that was flexible, allowing us to use inputs of any arbitrary dimensions during training or during inference. Finally, since one of the basic use cases we aimed at was to use this technology for enhancing security footage captured through CCTV cameras, we limited the training of our models to only images of human faces, specifically the Celebar dataset. Some of the related works that we'd like to discuss in brief. Classical methods for performing single image super resolution consisted of simple interpolation methods like bilinear or bicubic. Then some reconstruction based methods which use specific prior knowledge were also applied, but these methods do not scale well. Among the first deep learning approaches to SRSR was the use of a sparse coding based network, where a convolutional neural network was used for the task. And also some early attempts tried to use residual networks. Although these methods were quite a substantial improvement on past results, the output images were too blurry and they lacked much fine detail. Recently, deep generative models have taken over the field, especially starting with the models presented by Ledig and others in their paper in CVPR 2017, where they used a generative adversarial network. Like previous neural network approaches before them, this approach also extensively used skip connections and residual networks to build deeper networks that could capture high-level features. Here, the authors used a generative model that added a perceptual loss to their usual adversarial loss. This motivates the generator to create images that are perceptually closer to the real images. Perceptual loss basically works by taking a pixel-wise comparison loss of the intermediate activation maps achieved on passing an image through a pre-trained VGG network. Some other GAN-based methods include Menon and others who presented their paper entitled Pulse, which used a pre-trained style GAN to find a latent vector, which maps the images correctly to the correct downscales them to the correct image Also, a variational autoencoder based approach was used by Liu and others. However, owing to the inherent properties of VAE, the outputs were highly blurred. One of the more recent approaches in ACCV 2020 used the normalizing flow-based approaches that model the conditional distribution of high resolution space itself. This model learned to predict multiple high resolution images over the image manifold instead of a single image. Some other previous works which we used during our experiments were proposed by Mirza and others, which was to use a conditional GAN by feeding the GAN some auxiliary information to achieve a controlled output. And the Isolar 2017 paper, which made use of a unit-like generator with skip connections, and also a patch discriminator or a Markovian discriminator, which classifies individual patches as real or fake instead of the entire image. Now I'd like to turn it over to Kapil to talk about our individual contributions in this work.
Moving on to our contribution to this specific problem of super resolution. We modify the original SR-GAN architecture proposed by Christian Ledig by adding dilated convolutions to every alternate residual blocks as proposed by in their generator. And we show that these dilated convolutional networks help the model to focus on more broad features due to a large receptive field, helping to preserve the overall composition of the image. We refer to this as the dilation SR-ResNet. The above described generator was used to train a GAN, where we concatenate the input LR image with the HR, which is the low resolution image, with the high resolution or the super resolved image, and feed this as an input to the discriminator as a form of conditional training for the GAN. This yields better quantitative results, and we refer to this architecture as the dilation SR-GAN. We further modified this dilation SR-GAN by using a Markovian discriminator, which, as Kushal described, instead of classifying the whole image as real or fake, classifies individual patches as real or fake, and we refer to this as the dilation patch SR-GAN or DP-SR-GAN. As you can see on the screen, this is our network architecture for the generator. We add a dilated convolution layer at every alternate residual block, and in the end we use a pixel shuffler layer, as described in by Christian Ledig in his paper, to upscale the image 4 times. And the optimal number of residual blocks, as we determined exponentially, is 16. This is the architecture for the discriminator. As described earlier, we use a Markovian discriminator, which instead of labeling the entire image as real or fake, we classify individual patches as real or fake. And so the last layer, instead of being a fully connected dense layer, is a convolutional layer, which also reduces the number of training parameters and makes the model size agnostic. That is, any size of image can be fed to this network. This is an illustration of the way our model works with the concatenated high resolution and low resolution images. As seen in the schematic, the output of the generator is concatenated with the input image, that is the low resolution image, and fed to the discriminator. Similarly, the high resolution image or the ground truth image is also concatenated with the input image and fed to the discriminator during the training of the discriminator. Moving on to dataset preparation, we used the Cellbar dataset. To create a ground truth images, we downsized all the images from the dataset to 128 into 128 pixels. Further, we recursively downscaled these images 4 times, first from 128 into 128 to 64 into 64, and then from 64 into 64 to 32 into 32. This recursive downsizing has experimentally been shown to be better at conserving overall quality of images over directly downscaling it from 128 into 128 to 32 into 32 pixels. We used 180,000 images to form our training set and 20,000 images as the test set. The remaining 2059 images we used as a validation set. All the generated images from the test set were used to calculate the reported metrics of PSNR and SSIM. All the metrics were calculated over the Y channel of the images. Moving on to the implementation details, you can see the values of hyperparameters used to train our network on the screen. Further, we trained several different architectures, both with and without the proposed changes to the original SRGAN, and showed that our model improves on the performance of these models, both qualitatively and quantitatively. All our training was performed on a single NVIDIA GeForce 1080 Ti GPU, using the dataset split as I described before, with a mini batch of 32 images for just 70 epochs. We also use label smoothing for our discriminator, where our false labels vary between 0 and 0.3, and our true labels vary between 0.7 and 1. And since we couldn't find any available images generated by the SRGAN for the Celebar dataset, we also implemented those architectures and tested them on our dataset, which is the Celebar dataset.
I'd like to go over the results now. We use three major metrics to evaluate the results of different architectures. The PSNR, which is the peak signal to noise ratio, SSIM, which is the structural similarity, and MOS, which is a mean opinion score. We conducted a survey of 85 participants where we asked them to rate different images generated by different models on a scale of 0 to 5, where where 0 was basically a bad image and 5 was pretty much close to the target image. Now, as is visible from the results here, DPSRGAN, which was our proposed methods, obtained the highest MOS, and it also obtained a very high value of PSNR and SSIM. Dilation SRSNet, on the other hand, obtained the highest PSNR and SSIM values, which we'll explain shortly. Results obtained through DPSRGAN are visually much superior to methods like SRSNet or SRGAN. This explains why they achieved the highest MOS. Since deep convolutional based methods like SRSNet and dilation SRSNet focus on minimizing the MSE loss between target and generated images, they obtain higher PSNR, but the generated results are often blurry and they lack minute details. Compared to SRGAN, DPSRGAN performs better at maintaining the global structure of the image and not distorting any high-level features. When compared to a network trained without the Markovian discriminator, which we refer to as dilation SRGAN, it is apparent that a model trained with a Markovian discriminator performs better at conserving the low frequency details, maintaining a more consistent texture across the image. So this grid basically presents the results for different images obtained through different models, starting from bicubic interpolation on the left to SRSNet, SRGAN, dilation SRGAN, and DPSRGAN. As is visible in the result, you can see that some minute details such as the hair strands or the face of a person or the position of their pupil has been distorted in SRGAN, but the same features have been conserved quite properly in DPSRGAN thanks to our network architecture. And also you can see that the Markovian discriminator has helped it maintain a much closer, much more detailed texture. I'll turn it over to Kapil to discuss some of the future work, potential future work in this project.
We acknowledge that our project can be improved upon. So first of all, I'd like to say that GANs are inherently unstable and they're prone to problems, that is converging to a local optima. To address this, we use pre-training of the generator. But this can be avoided, can be avoided by using a Weissenstein GAN, which uses a constrained earth mover distance instead of using the original Jensen-Shannon divergence as proven by Goodfellow in his generative adversarial networks paper. Further, we can also use spectral normalization to avoid the tuning of the Lipschitz constant, which using spectral normalization, the value of the Lipschitz constant would be 1 instead of us having to tune it using hit and try. Thank you.